Steven Spielberg secretly flew the entire cast to Hawaii after filming Wrapped to surprise the director. He told the kids to act mean to Donner to keep the secret. That is where we are starting. Before we get there, think about being 10 years old and believing completely physically in your whole body that you could find treasure if you just looked hard enough. That feeling has a name. It is called the Goonies. Let's go. Number 10, Spielberg was secretly co-directing the whole time. While Richard Donner directed the Goonies, Steven Spielberg's influence is unmistakable. Spielberg was heavily involved in the film's production and even directed a few scenes himself, including the skeleton piano sequence. In his book There and Back Again, Sean Astin claimed that Donner and Spielberg were like co-directors on the film as he compared and contrasted their styles when directing scenes. Donner was the father figure, warm, patient, occasionally exasperated by the chaos of 7 children in a cave set. Spielberg was the one who watched from behind the monitor with the specific intensity of a man who had already made E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark and understood exactly what childhood wonder looked like when it was being filmed correctly. Between them, they built something neither could have built alone. The film that felt like it was made by someone who understood children completely was actually made by 2 men, one directing out loud and one directing quietly from the back of the room. Number 9. He hid the pirate ship. Their reactions are real. Richard Donner denied the child actors access to the massive soundstage where a full pirate ship was built. The scene in the final movie features their genuine reactions to seeing it for the first time. Donner had the actors turn around and wait underwater until their cue to come up. Think about what that means. A full-scale pirate ship built on a soundstage in Burbank, and for weeks, while the rest of the film was being shot, the children who were going to discover it had no idea it existed. Donner protected the secret with the specific care of someone who understood that you can only see something for the first time once. When they turned around and came up from the water and saw it, the open mouths, the eyes going wide, the sound that comes out of a child who sees something magnificent without any preparation, that is what you see in the finished film. Ke Huy Quan returned to that Warner Brothers soundstage in 2022, 36 years later, and shared the emotional moment on Instagram. I got a bit emotional as all my wonderful memories of my Goonies gang came flooding back. The ship was long gone, but the room remembered. Before we keep going, how old were you the first time you watched the Goonies? Just the number. Drop it in the comments right now, because this film found people at a very specific age. And once it finds you, it never fully lets go. Number 8, Chunk almost didn't do the Truffle Shuffle, and almost didn't get the role. Who could forget the unforgettable Truffle Shuffle performed by Chunk, played by Jeff Cohen? This scene has become one of the most iconic moments in the film. Cohen later revealed that he almost didn't get the role because of the infamous dance. During auditions, the producers had to assure him repeatedly to do the dance. His nervous, heartfelt performance sealed the deal. At an audition in front of strangers, being asked to lift his shirt and shake his stomach, said no, multiple times. The producers convinced him, and the thing he was most reluctant to do became the thing that got him the role. The thing that got him the role became one of the most imitated moments in 1980s cinema. And the man who performed it, Jeff Cohen, left acting entirely to pursue a law degree. He is now a founding partner at an entertainment law firm with clients including Ke Huy Quan. Chunk grew up and became the lawyer for Data, and the Truffle Shuffle became the kind of cultural shorthand that people perform at parties without fully knowing where it came from. Number 7, the water slide was real. The director wrote it every night after filming. The slide the Goonies ride to get to the cave with One-Eyed Willie's ship was a fully functioning water slide. Donner and the crew would allegedly sneak in after filming Wrapped for the day to ride the slide, a functioning water slide built inside a movie set, and after the children went home each evening, after the cameras were covered and the crew was winding down, the director of the film and various members of the production team were quietly climbing back up and riding it again. Richard Donner was in his mid-50s during production of The Goonies. He was a veteran Hollywood director who had made Superman and The Omen and Lethal Weapon, and every night, after the kids left, he climbed back up a water slide built inside a soundstage. That detail says everything you need to know about what kind of film this was to make, and what it felt like to be inside it. Number 6, playing Sloth took 5 hours every morning, and a remote control. Former NFL player John Matusak's makeup for the role of Sloth took roughly 5 hours to apply each day. For the movement of one of the misplaced eyes on his face, a remote control mechanically operated the prop from off-screen. In order to synchronize Sloth's blinking eyes, A production member would count down off-screen to let Matusak know exactly when to squint. 5 hours? Every single day. A former professional football player sitting in a makeup chair for 5 hours before he could begin work, and then spending the entire shoot having a crew member count down from off-camera so he knew when to blink. The most beloved character in the film, the gentle giant who becomes Chunk's friend and the film's unexpected heart, was a 6-foot 4-inch NFL defensive end who submitted to 5 hours of latex every morning with the patience of a man who understood completely what he was helping to build. At the end of the movie, Sloth rips his vest off to reveal a Superman t-shirt underneath. An inside joke about director Richard Donner, who rose to fame after directing Superman, the movie in 1978. The man in the makeup was winking at the man behind the camera, and neither of them ever explained it publicly. Number 5. Data won the Oscar, and Chunk negotiated his deal. After making a splash as a child actor in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and following it up with the Goonies, Ke Huy Quan toiled in the industry, mostly in obscurity, including as a stunt coordinator and assistant director. The industry moved on without him, the roles stopped coming, and so he stayed connected to film in the only way available. Working behind the camera, building skills, refusing to disappear entirely. Then Everything Everywhere All at Once came along. Jeff Cohen, Chunk, who had left acting to become an entertainment law firm partner, brokered Kwan's deal in Breakout Everything Everywhere All at Once. Chunk became the lawyer, who got Data back into the room, and Data walked into the room and won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. The boy who played the gadget-obsessed kid in a cave in Oregon, 38 years later, accepted an Oscar, and the boy who did the truffle shuffle was the one who made the deal. Some friendships are just built different. Number 4. The octopus was real, then it was cut, but the line stayed in. During a 2010 interview, Richard Donner was asked about Data's octopus line at the end of the movie and why he kept it, even though the scene it referenced was left on the cutting room floor, to which he said, "It was fun, and it baited the audience. So I figured, just leave them in, it keeps people guessing." An octopus scene was filmed, the octopus attacked the Goonies, Data defeated it using his Walkman, and then Donner looked at the footage and his explanation for why it was cut is as simple as it gets. Because it was bad. The animatronic looked wrong, the scene was removed, but Donner left Data's line in deliberately. The octopus was very scary, referring to something no audience would ever see. For 40 years, people have watched that line and been confused. Donner liked that. He liked that a line about something nobody saw would outlast the scene he cut. The most mysterious moment in the film exists because a director decided that a good mystery is more interesting than a bad octopus. Number 3, the treasure map had real blood on it, and the kids got to keep a piece of the set. The treasure map was speckled with real blood, added during production to make it look authentically aged and handled. Once production on The Goonies wrapped, star Sean Astin was given the beat-up treasure map prop used in the film to take home as a memento. Other cast members received pieces of the library set, the physical objects from a childhood adventure, carried home by the children who had lived through it, as if even the props understood that this particular film was something worth keeping. And then there is Spielberg's surprise. Once production wrapped, Donner went to his vacation home in Hawaii. When he arrived, he was surprised to see that producer Steven Spielberg had secretly flown the entire cast to Hawaii to celebrate the completion of the project. The kids were told by Spielberg to act mean to Donner in order to keep the surprise a secret. 7 children keeping a secret, treating the director with deliberate coldness on the plane, until he walked off and found his entire cast waiting for him on a Hawaiian beach. That is a director who was loved. That is a cast who understood what had just happened between them. And that is Steven Spielberg understanding that the end of something this good deserves something more than a rap party on a soundstage. Number 2. Josh Brolin started here. So did Thanos. So did Samwise Gamgee. Josh Brolin made his feature film debut, playing Brand in The Goonies. The actor would later star in films like No Country for Old Men and Milk, for which he earned a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination, and become a comic book movie staple with the Deadpool and the Avengers movies. Sean Astin, Mikey, went on to play Samwise Gamgee in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Ke Huy Quan won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 2023. Corey Feldman, Mouth, has spent 4 decades being one of the most honest voices in Hollywood about what the industry does to child actors. Martha Plimpton became one of the most respected theatrical actresses of her generation. The cast of The Goonies did not fade. They carried something from that soundstage in Burbank through the rest of their lives and their careers. And the one thing every single one of them has said in every interview about this film, across 40 years, is the same thing. That the friendship was real. That what happened in that cave was real. That whatever the film gave them, nobody gave it back. Number 1. He was the captain of the ship, and they never said die. Richard Donner died in July 2021. Ke Huy Quan called him the captain of the ship. Corey Feldman said the sequel was dead. The cast had always said they would only return if Donner was directing. In January 2025, Warner Brothers confirmed a sequel is in active development. Writer Patsy Pansaroli's first draft was very well received, and a second draft is 95% complete. Donner's wife, Lauren Schuler Donner, is producing. The ship is moving again without its captain, carried forward by the people who loved him. And then in February 2025, the surviving cast reunited at the Hollywood Walk of Fame to celebrate Ke Huy Quan receiving his star. Sean Astin was there, Corey Feldman was there, Josh Brolin was there. The Goonies, now in their 50s, standing on a sidewalk in Hollywood around a star with Data's name on it. The boy who spent 30 years in the shadows of the industry that had made him famous at 14, standing on his own star, with his family around him. That is the end of the story that the film never got to tell. Not a sequel in a theater. Just 7 people who grew up together in a cave in Oregon, who kept showing up for each other across 4 decades, who stood on a sidewalk in February and refused to say die. The adventure was never One-Eyed Willie's treasure. It was always this. It was always them. And it always will be.